Part 2 of 25 years later. I got the ultimate revenge on my high school bully. Tank had no idea that he just made the biggest mistake of his life. But then something shifted in the room. Benji slowly stood up from his chair, his quiet demeanor suddenly commanding attention in a way that made everyone fall silent. Even Tank stopped mid-sentence, sensing something had changed. "You know what, Tank?" Benji said, his voice steady and calm. "I think it's time everyone knew the truth about both of us." The room went dead quiet. You could hear a pin drop. "You see, everyone here knows what you did to me in high school. The daily humiliation, the constant torment. But what they don't know is what I did after graduation." Benji paused, letting the tension build. "I built something. Something big." Tank scoffed. "Oh please, Benji. What could you possibly have built? You're nobody." Benji reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a simple business card. But as he held it up, Tank's face went white. Because on that card was a logo that Tank knew very well. A logo he saw every day when he walked into his office. "Morrison Construction," Benji said quietly. "Your company, Tank. Or should I say my company now?" The gasps that rippled through the crowd were audible. Someone whispered, "Holy shit, is he serious?" "That's impossible," Tank stammered, his bravado cracking. "You're lying. Morrison Construction is owned by B Holdings. Some investment group. Benjamin Elias Holdings," Benji said, spelling it out slowly. "B Holdings. My initials, Tank. I bought your company 6 months ago." The room erupted in whispers. People were pulling out their phones, frantically searching for confirmation. Tank's face had gone from red to completely pale. "I've been watching you, Tank. Watching how you treat your employees. How you cut corners on safety regulations. How you still bully people, just like you did in high school. The only difference is now you do it from behind a desk." Tank's hands were shaking now. "This can't be real. This can't be happening." "Oh, it's very real," Benji continued, his voice never rising above a conversational tone. "In fact, I've been getting reports about your behavior for months. Did you know that 17 different employees have filed complaints about your harassment? Did you know that your safety violations have put dozens of workers at risk?" The crowd was completely silent now, hanging on every word. "But here's what really sealed the deal for me, Tank. Last month, you screamed at a 19-year-old intern until she cried. You called her stupid and worthless. You made her feel exactly the way you made me feel in high school." Benji's voice hardened just slightly. "Her name is Sarah. She's a bright, talented young woman who deserves better than to be treated like garbage by someone like you." Tank was looking around the room desperately, as if searching for an escape route. "Benji, listen. If I said anything inappropriate to an employee, we can work this out." "We can. We can't work anything out, Tank. Because as of Monday morning, you're fired." The room exploded. People were gasping, whispering, some even applauding. Tank stood there, mouth agape, looking like he'd been hit by a truck. 25 years, Benji said, his voice carrying across the stunned silence. 25 years I've been building something meaningful while you've been tearing people down. And now, finally, it's over." Tank's face went through a spectrum of emotions, shock, denial, and then pure rage. "You can't do this to me. I built that company from nothing. My father started Morrison Construction." "Your father built a respectable business," Benji replied calmly. "You turned it into a toxic workplace where good people quit and safety violations pile up like garbage. I'm not destroying your father's legacy, Tank. I'm saving it." The crowd was completely captivated now. Some people were openly recording on their phones. Others were whispering in amazement. Someone called out, "Get him, Benji." "But here's the thing," Benji continued, reaching into his other pocket. "Firing you is just the beginning. This is a cease and desist order from my legal team. You're being sued for workplace harassment, creating a hostile work environment, and discrimination." Tank's voice cracked. "Discrimination? What are you talking about?" "The way you treat women employees, Tank. The way you mock anyone who didn't go to college. The way you make fun of people's accents, their backgrounds, their families. Sound familiar? It's the same pattern of behavior you've had since high school, except now it's illegal." The room was electric with tension. People were murmuring things like, "I always knew he was a piece of shit, and this is incredible. And here's what's really beautiful about this situation," Benji said, his voice gaining strength. "All those employees you've terrorized over the years, they're finally going to get justice. Sarah, the intern you made cry. She's getting a full scholarship to finish her engineering degree. Marcus, the guy you fired for asking about safety equipment, he's getting his job back with a promotion. Every single person you've hurt is going to be taken care of." Tank was starting to panic now. "Benji, please. We can work this out. We go way back. High school was a long time ago. I was just a kid. You were 18 years old, Tank. And you're 43 now. You've had 25 years to grow up, to change, to become a better person. Instead, you became exactly the same bully you always were, just with more money and more power." The applause started slowly, with just a few people clapping. But then it grew louder and louder until the entire room was giving Benji a standing ovation. Tank stood there in the middle of it, completely isolated, completely exposed. "This isn't over," Tank snarled, his mask finally slipping completely. "You think you can just destroy my life? I'll fight this. You'll what?" Benji asked quietly, and the room fell silent again. "You'll hire lawyers with what money? Your assets are frozen pending the investigation. You'll intimidate witnesses? Everything is documented. You'll try to discredit me? I'm worth more than you ever dreamed of being. Tank's shoulders sagged. The fight was going out of him as the reality of his situation hit home. Here's what's going to happen, Benji said, his voice still calm but carrying absolute authority. You're going to clean out your desk on Monday. You're going to cooperate with the investigation. You're going to accept responsibility for your actions. And maybe, just maybe, you'll finally learn what it means to treat people with basic human dignity. The crowd was hanging on every word. Someone whispered, he's not done. Because you see, Tank, I could have done this quietly. I could have fired you through HR, settled everything behind closed doors. But I wanted everyone here to see this moment. I wanted our classmates to know that the nerdy kid you used to torment didn't just survive, he thrived. And more importantly, I wanted them to know that bullies like you don't get to win in the end. Tank looked around the room desperately, searching for a single sympathetic face. He found none. These people who had once watched him humiliate others, who had sometimes even laughed along, were now looking at him with disgust and contempt. 25 years ago, you made me feel powerless, Benji said, his voice carrying across the stunned silence. Tonight, you learned what powerless really feels like. In the days that followed, Tank's world completely collapsed. The story of his downfall spread through their hometown like wildfire. Local news picked it up. Social media exploded with former employees, sharing their own stories of his abuse. The man who had once commanded respect through fear now couldn't show his face in public without people whispering and pointing. His expensive house went up for sale. His luxury cars were repossessed. His country club membership was quietly revoked. The social circle that had once surrounded him, people who had laughed at his cruel jokes and enabled his behavior, suddenly had very busy schedules whenever he called. But perhaps the most devastating blow was when his own teenage daughter found the videos from the reunion online. She watched her father's public humiliation and then quietly asked her mother if they could change their last name. The girl who had once bragged about her successful dad now refused to acknowledge him at school. Meanwhile, Benji's story took on a life of its own, but not in the way you might expect. He didn't revel in his victory or seek out the spotlight. Instead, he used his platform to do something remarkable. He started a foundation called Second Chances, dedicated to helping people who had been bullied or faced workplace harassment. The foundation offered legal support, career counseling, and mental health resources. Within months, it had helped hundreds of people find their voice and fight back against their own bullies. The reunion video had gone viral, but the comments section told a deeper story. Former classmates began sharing their own experiences. People who had been bystanders to bullying started apologizing. Others talked about how watching Benji's courage inspired them to finally report harassment at their own workplaces. Sarah, the intern Tank had made cry, became the foundation's first scholarship recipient. She went on to graduate with honors and now works as a safety inspector, making sure other workers are protected from people like Tank. Marcus, the employee who had been fired for asking about safety equipment, was promoted to site supervisor. Under his leadership, Morrison Construction became the safest company in the city. As for Tank himself, the legal proceedings dragged on for months. He lost every case. But something unexpected happened during his court-ordered anger management classes. For the first time in his life, he was forced to confront the real impact of his actions. He had to listen to victim impact statements from dozens of people whose lives he had made miserable. The process broke him down completely. But sometimes, being broken is the first step to being rebuilt. 2 years later, Tank was a different man, broke, quiet, and humbled. He sent Benji a letter of apology. Benji never responded. He didn't need to. He had moved on to bigger things. His foundation had gone national, helping thousands of people find their voice and fight back against workplace bullies. The reunion video is still online, viewed millions of times. But if you scroll down to the comments, you'll find something beautiful. Story after story of people who watched it and decided to change their own lives. People who apologized to others they had hurt. People who found the courage to report their own bullies. People who chose kindness over cruelty. Because that's the real power of this story. It's not about revenge or getting even. It's about the simple truth that how we treat others, especially those who seem powerless, reveals who we really are. Benji could have destroyed Tank completely. He had the power and the resources to do it. Instead, he chose justice over vengeance. He chose to build something positive rather than just tear something down. And that, perhaps, is the most important lesson of all. When we're given power, whether it's in high school, in the workplace, or anywhere else, we have a choice. We can use that power to lift others up or tear them down. The bullies of the world want you to believe that being cruel makes you strong. But Benji proved something far more powerful. That true strength comes from choosing kindness, even when you have every reason not to. 25 years after high school, the quiet kid who had been everyone's victim became everyone's hero. Not because he destroyed his enemy, but because he chose to build something better instead. And that's a lesson worth remembering, whether you're in a high school hallway or a corporate boardroom. Character isn't about what you do when people are watching. It's about what you do when you think no one will ever find out. But here's the thing about the truth. It always finds a way to surface. And when it does, you better hope you're on the right side of it. If this story moved you, like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful stories like this one.